Sue, you can let them in. My name is Aurora. I am the Youth Education Coordinator for Darby Creek Valley Association, and I'm so glad you guys are here with us today. I like to do youth programs in person, but right now this is the best we can do, and it's a new opportunity for us to connect with more people that we typically can't in person. So it's actually really exciting. Today we have Connie Nye. She's really excited to be here. She has been teaching environmental education for many years over in our neighboring county, Chester County. So she has a really exciting program for us today. And I'm going to just hand it right over to her. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can see a big view. Oh, and before I do that, I just want to remind everyone to try to keep yourself on mute. I see most of you are doing that already. And if you have any trouble with the view, like going into speaker view to see Connie big on the screen, you can always send us a message on chat, the chat box at the bottom, and Sue and I will try to help you with that. Okay, so, and here we go. We should have Connie now. Go ahead.
I think that's me on there.
Yep. Let's get Connie on the screen. Yeah, once you start talking, Connie, it'll pick you up.
Hi, everybody. It's so exciting for me to try this virtual learning experience, and let's see what happens. So it's not just me that's going to be working with you today. There's also my friend Pete. Pete is a fish, and he represents fish that need clean water. And so part of our program is about clean water. So Pete is going to help me introduce the program. Are you ready? Here we go. Okay, music. Hello, it's Pete. All we see is you, Aurora. I was wondering if after all this time you'd like to meet to go over watersheds. They say everyone lives in them, but not everybody gets it. Hello, can you follow me? I'm a fish that hatches in fresh water and swims out to the sea. After I grow up to become a dad, I return to fresh water to make baby shad. There's such a difference between salt water and fresh. After I make my journey and spawn, I might die, but yet I sing. Hello from Darby Creek. There's so many watersheds I need. From the fresh water to the ocean. In my challenging migration. Hello from Darby Creek. There's so many watersheds I need. From the Darby Creek to the Delaware River and the Delaware River to the Delaware Bay and the Atlantic Ocean. Hello. How about you? Do you know what watersheds surround you? I hope that you know when you cross a high point to another watershed you go. It's no secret that all of us live in watersheds. Everybody, you ready? Hello from Darby Creek. There's so many watersheds I need. From the fresh water to the ocean in my challenging the Shad. Hello from the Darby Creek. There's so many watersheds on me. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so that's it. That's Pete the Shad. Let's hear it for Pete the Shad. Yay! I don't see anybody clapping. I'm on mute? No. Yeah! Okay, so I have a whole program for you. Oh, I see somebody has her leaf. I hope you guys brought your leaves to do a little rubbing. So I'm Connie. My business is Sweetwater Education, Events, and Training. And what I do basically is teach about water. We all need it. But part of what I do is I try to get kids to understand, and adults to understand the connection between our land and our water and how to keep water clean, because the water in our creeks is what gives us our water to drink. So I'm going to show you a couple of quick demonstrations, and then we're going to do some reading of some books. So the first thing I want to show you is, how come we're not in the middle, on the main screen?
Because you're not going to look at yourself.
Okay. So we've got this Enviroscape model, and I'm going to pour some water in it. And if everybody knows the flow of water, you know that which way does it go, uphill or downhill? Let's see, a thumbs up for uphill or a thumbs down for downhill. Which way does water flow? Up or down? Up or down? It flows downhill, yes. So see the water going down, and it's going down to here, and then we lift that up, oh, and we plug it up. So this is our model, and basically what I want to show you is that all the land around the water is going to affect the quality of that water. And here's the drinking water. Can you lift that up some? There we go. Here's the drinking water treatment plant that gets our water. It takes the water out of the creek, and it sends it to our houses, and then it ends up going back to the wastewater treatment plant and back in the creek. So what I want to show you is what happens if we don't clean up that water. So let's say at this little property, we have a dog that poops. See the dog poop? And now what we're going to do is there's going to be rain. And what happens to that dog poop? Take a look over where it goes downstream. Can you see now what happened to the water here? It got the dog poop in it. So that is really why we need to pick up our dog poop, because anything that goes on the land can end up in our water, and this is the water that we get to drink out of. This is the water we drink. So we want to make sure we keep the lands clean, no pollution, no dog poop, no trash, that kind of stuff. Because it's not just us that needs the water, but we have little turtles and frogs and all sorts of things that live in the water, and they don't like dog poop in their water, or fertilizer, or pesticides, or salts, or any of those things. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to this other model, and we're going to take a look at what I call Dr. Flo's Cookie House. So it looks like a house, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to change this house. Oh, look at our dog. Let me zoom in on that dog. And look, there's dog poop. So if it rains, that dog poop is going to end up going down into this little storm drain and down into the creek over here. So what we need to do is figure out how to make this property better at keeping the water clean. So we see 3, and what we're going to do is we're going to change some things on this property so that we can make it be more to the creek over here. So let's look at our creek again. Here's our creek over here. Okay? All right, so the first thing we're gonna do, I have a bunch of accessories, and normally I have my kids do this. But we're gonna take this, and this is called a rooftop garden that we're gonna put on the roof, and that's gonna help to take some of the pollutants off of the rooftop and absorb into the roof and make a garden instead of running off into the storm drain. We're also gonna do a very simple procedure. We're gonna cut out part of our lawn, and we're gonna put in what's called a rain garden. There we go. A rain garden is sunk down, and it has lots of stones in there, so there's a lot of nice filtration that goes on. And this is gonna capture a lot of the pollution. We can also put up what are called rain chains. And rain chains will help to guide the water down into the infiltration of our rain garden. We can also put a little rain chain up here to direct water from the rooftop down to the rain garden, the rooftop garden. Okay, so now instead of using, come on around this way, Liz. Instead of using a hose to wash our car, maybe what we should use are, oops, I can't find my buckets. Well, we'll use a watering can and some buckets to wash our car. And maybe what we need, our dog, we don't want our dog to run over to the stream banks and mush up all the stream banks and get all that erosion into the creek. So we're gonna put up a little fence to keep our dog from eroding the stream banks. So you get the idea that we can do things to our properties to keep water from getting polluted. The most important thing is to plant lots of trees. So we're gonna put some more trees on the property. And we're gonna put a compost bin on the property. And we're gonna put what's called a rain barrel to catch some of that runoff off of the roof. And that way we can now go get that water from there, put it in our watering can, and water our plants, water our gardens with water from the rooftop instead of adding to the amount of runoff that goes into the creek. So I'm gonna add some more, lots of trees. We want lots of trees. So some of them are going up back here, but we're gonna put a lot of shrubs along the fence here so that we have what's called a buffer. So now we have lots of plant life that protects the creek from anything that might run off of this piece of property. Ooh, some flowers, lots of plants. And the last thing we're gonna do, which is kind of an expensive thing, I'm gonna go back this way, is we're gonna change our driveway from a paved driveway to a porous driveway. So we're gonna put this driveway up there, and now water, when it runs down, it actually is gonna seep into the driveway instead of running off down into the storm drain down here and heading to the creek, carrying whatever yuck is attached to it. So those are my two demonstrations to get an idea. Now look at the house. Can you back away and look at the house? And it looks a little bit different than how it looked when we started out. Pretty funky, right? So I call this Dr. Flo's Kooky Hoose, the house of organic and sustainable endeavors. And the reason it's called the Kooky Hoose is because I'm going to go right into my next piece here. It's featured in this book called Sweetwater Hunt. And here is the Kooky Hoose. So the Kooky Hoose is pretty kooky, and it's owned by Dr. Flo Waters, who's the star of this book, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So now we're going to go straight into a reading of the book, Can He Keep It? So what I'd like to do, oops, sorry, I have to go back this way and get the book. We're going to pull that up on the PowerPoint. I think you might have, did you hit share screen?
Nope.
We're going to share our screen. There we go. So this is called Can He Keep It? And I wrote the story, and I had an illustrator from Hawaii who did the pictures for us. Aurora, will you just give me a thumbs up that everything's working okay? Okay. So we're gonna start to zoom in and look at, well, we all know we live on the planet Earth in the United States and the state of Pennsylvania and the county of Chester. But we also live, or I did live, in this place called the Brandywine Watershed, which is where the story takes place. So here we are, we're zooming in, we're zooming in, we're zooming in until we zoom in to maybe a place like where you live. So in his own town, on his own street, in his own home, in his own room, in his own bed, Tyson slept soundly. In the middle of his morning stretch, Tyson remembered what today was. You guys can stretch. Yawn. There you go. Don't forget your boots for pond day, said his mother cheerfully while Tyson ate his breakfast. On the way to school, Tyson imagined catching something exciting at the pond. Look at that weird hairy thing. Is that something you would want to catch in your pond? When Miss Nye, the science gal, arrived, she lined the students up at the front of the classroom. Then, quiet as coyotes, they walked down the hallway and headed outdoors. Can you guys make a quiet coyote sign? Yeah. At the pond, Miss Nye divided the students into teams for critter catching. And then she went over the rules. Stay with your team. First thing, get water in your cups. Be gentle with the critters and be sure to share and take turns with the equipment. And here are some of the things that they found. So I see a guy that has what I call a bubble butt. That's a beetle, and he has a little air tank on his butt, a snail, a leech, and some other critters you're going to learn about a little bit later. Whoa, called Tyson as he watched something wriggle out of the mud in his net. He lifted the tadpole gently, examined it closely, and placed it into his team's cup of water. Tyson raced over to Miss Nye with the cup in his hand. Look, look, Miss Nye, a tadpole. I named it Taddy. Can I keep it? Miss Nye looked at the tadpole and then at Tyson. Taddy's a beauty, all right, she said, and I understand that you would want to keep him. But think for a minute. What if a great big giant was on a field trip with his class? Isn't that a great giant? And the great big giant scooped you up. And he said, whoa, as he watched you wriggle around in his net. Then he lifted you up gently and examined you closely. And then the great big giant raced over to his teacher and said, look, look, Mr. Giant Teacher, a kid. I named a kiddo. Can I keep it? What would you want the great big giant to do? Asked Miss Nye. Keep you or put you back? Tyson thought for a few moments. Now he's imagining the giant bringing him to his parents. And then he imagines the giant bringing him home and putting him into a nice, beautiful cage with a nice, comfy bed. But nighttime comes. How does Tyson feel? And how do his parents feel back at home? Do they feel good or bad? Yeah, they're not feeling so good. So, said Miss Nye to Tyson, what do you think you should do? So here's my question to you. Can he keep it? What do you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Can he keep it? Oh, I don't see. Yeah, well, let's see. That same night in his own town, in his own home, on his own street, in his own room, in his own bed, Tyson slept soundly. And so did I'm going to zoom into the water, zoom into the pond, and so did, oh, there's Bubble Butt, there's a snail, there's a dragonfly nymph, and so did Taddy. So, in this book, there's also some information about going ponding and some information about some of the critters you might find. And there's also some information about what a watershed is. So you know that you live in a house, on a street, in a town, in a county, but you also live in a set of things called watersheds. And in this story, Taddy and Tyson live in the same watersheds. And they live in the Brandywine Creek, which is a little tiny green area on the map. And that's part of the Christina River watershed and the Delaware watershed. So it's important for us to take care of all of these things. All right, so let's see, since I can't hear you, let me see, do I get a thumbs up on the book or a thumbs down on the book? Oh, I get a thumbs down. Somebody gave me a thumbs down. Oh, Mom says, no, let's influence you. Thumbs up on the book, yay! Beautiful, beautiful pictures. I'm very, very happy with what the illustrator did. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to do is to do a little video for you that I have on my YouTube page. And since we're talking about tadpoles, let's take a look at tadpoles. So we're going to share this screen and we're going to look at our tadpole video. Bear with us. Tadpole gills at work. There we go. Okay, let's get started.
Hi guys, it's Connie Nye, the nature guide, and I'm down at my retention basin in my neighborhood. I'll show you a snap of that in a minute. And we're going to do a little tadpole experiment with the tadpole that I caught. So here is the retention basin in my neighborhood. And here are a few of the little guys that I caught. Sorry about the shadows. So we got some tadpoles. Here's my little star. So here are the tadpoles. And what we have here is some colored water and some plain pond water. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the tadpoles and put him in the colored water. And then we're going to transfer him to the clear water. And we're going to do a little test to see about gills on tadpoles. So here is our tadpole sitting in the colored water. It's the colored pond water, by the way. And I'm going to take him out and put him into the clear water. And we're going to watch to see how he sends water through his gills and expels it through his gills. So this is not going to be graceful, but I'm going to take the tadpole out of the water, the red water. I'll let him drain a little bit. Then we're going to put him into the clear water. And you see a little bit of red. Oh, you see that puff? See that puff of red that just came out of his gills? We're going to try it again. So watch carefully. Take him out, let him drain. In he goes. Up there's a little puff again. That's out of his left gill. Can't see what's going on with his right gill. It's pretty cool. They breathe through those gills. So now it's time to gently have him join the bigger pan. And we're going to say Wanishi to them, which is Native American Lenape language for thank you for letting us borrow you for a few minutes, and then I will return them to the pond. All right? That's it for today's lesson. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye. Ready to...
Oh, God.
Not yet.
Well, what do you want?
No, we
You
go
want
back
to
to,
stop sharing?
yeah. Okay. So did you like the tadpole experiment? That's something you can do yourself. All you need is a little colored water. You catch a tadpole, you put him into a container of colored water, but it has to be the water that the tadpole came out of, like pond water. Then you drain him out and you put him into a cup of clear water, and you will see that puff of the tadpole ingesting, taking the water in, sending it through his gills, and then expelling or pushing it out what he doesn't need. He's pushing out, he's taking the oxygen out of that water for himself. We all know that then tadpoles become frogs and they have a whole different way of breathing. So it's pretty crazy stuff. So I'm actually going to switch now. I don't know what that little thing is that you're showing me, but it's some kind of, I know some of the other kids watching know what that is. Oh, how do you make colored water? You just take some food coloring and put it in the water. And you have colored water.
Kool-Aid.
No Kool-Aid, no, nothing that has anything in it, just plain food coloring. All right, so there's another book that I wrote called Sweetwater Hunt. So I'm going to show you Sweetwater Hunt. And that's the one that features, can you put it on the Dr. Flo's Cookie House. And in Sweetwater Hunt, this is a story more for like 3rd, 4th, 5th graders and even adults. I have quite a few adults who've read it and really like it. And this is an adventure mystery story about a little boy and his cousin who's a little girl, and they travel all through the Brandywine watershed and learn a lot of things, but also go on lots of fun adventures. But there's a mystery. So I'm going to read a little bit to you, and then we're going to do our activity. So in the beginning of this book, Wyatt, our main character, and his cousin Danny find something in the Brandywine Creek. So I'm going to read to you, so just be patient with me. On the east bank of the Brandywine Creek, Wyatt and his cousin Danny stood in the shade of a sycamore tree. The creek parted water around large boulders and tumbled over smaller rocks. Wyatt waved to his parents on the west bank as his cousin turned a cartwheel on the grass. They had crossed the creek at the bridge to take Wyatt's dog to the off-the-leash side of Brandywine Park. Wyatt loved playing fetch with Benny in the creek, even if the signs did read, "Peligro," danger, water is polluted. Wyatt flung a stick. Benny dashed down the bank and into the water. Paddling easily downstream, he retrieved the stick, then fought the current to return. He scrambled up the bank, dropped the stick at Wyatt's feet, and shook, spraying water all over the cousins. "Benny," Danny whined, wiping droplets from her springy hair. Wyatt threw the stick farther downstream, and Benny took off. The stick floated swiftly. Benny pursued, paddling furiously, and snagged it. Wyatt watched Benny struggle to turn upstream when the rapids suddenly swept him out of sight. "He's gone," Danny screamed. She and Wyatt raced along the stream back to the point where they last saw Benny. They clambered down the steep bank but saw no sign of the dog. Wyatt started climbing back up. "Come on," he pleaded. "Oh, Benny boy, you had us scared," they said when they found Benny up on the bank where he was sitting calmly. Wyatt threw his arms around the dog, barely noticing the water soaking into his t-shirt. Danny knelt and hugged Benny from the other side. It was then that Benny dropped a tennis ball from his mouth. And I'm going to skip some of this, but I'm going to tell you, they find something in the tennis ball, and it's a block of wood, and it has carvings on it. And so they try to figure this out, and they start to look at it very closely. And Danny says, "What does it say?" Wyatt squinted at the markings. "Sad," he read, as he turned the cube, and bad. I think we should go back, Wyatt, Danny said. I'm getting kind of creeped out. Yes, said Wyatt. He shoved the cube in his back pocket of his shorts. Come on, boy, he called to Benny, who picked up the tennis ball and sat obediently to be leashed. So these kids go home and they do a rubbing of this cube, this block of wood, and they find out what this cube says. And I'm going to give you a little preview. It has the word gladness crossed out, and then it has sadness, badness, who will help to stop the madness. And then you have to figure out, as you read the book, what this mystery is all about. So to give you an idea of how this book works, we tell you in the book to follow along with Danny and Wyatt and actually do a rubbing. So that's what we're going to do now with your leaf and your crayon and your paper. So are you guys ready to do your rubbing? Because sometimes you can see things more clearly when you rub them than if you don't rub them. So my daughter Sydney is going to be our demonstrator. So we're going to move over to the table where we're going to do our rubbing. So come on over here. Liz, can you come around this way? So you do not have to have all these fancy art supplies, but you know, I have them, business expense, you know. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a leaf. So Sydney's going to take a leaf, or you can take a flower, or you can take a piece of grass, which is actually a leaf. We have some interesting little fern, I don't know what these are, these little grasses, but what Sydney's going to do is she's going to lift the paper up and she's going to put her leaf down under the paper. So if you guys can follow along, put your leaf on the table and then put your paper over the table, over the leaf. And then you're going to take a pencil or a crayon and you're going to use the side of it. So if you have a crayon, you can rub like that, or if you use the pencil, you rub on its side. So first you have to find where the leaf is, and now you're going to rub. And as you rub, you start to see the image come through. Ooh, that one's nice. Beautiful. All right, let's see how this flower comes out. A little flower. Let's try to put it down. Oh, she's doing a different color. A little harder, press harder in the, yeah. Oh, whoops, we got, okay. All right, and let's try this grass. Or do the top part of it. There we go. Look at that. All right. Did you guys? Oh, let's see. We've got some. Very nice. Excellent.
Yay.
So this is kind of a fun thing to do. Oh, that's beautiful. You got a sycamore leaf, it looks like. Yeah, that's beautiful. And now you should be able to say, oh, now I know what a sycamore leaf is. Now there's another one. We got another one coming. I don't know what it is. Amelia and Adeline have something. Okay, so this is a great way to actually see the details of a leaf, or in the case of the Sweetwater Hunt book, to actually read the words that were carved into the block of wood. Oh, there's something. That's pretty. The turquoise leaf. I don't know what it is because I can't see it very clearly, but very cool. So this is something you can do. You can go out and collect leaves, but make sure you don't collect poison ivy. And you can do leaf rubbings, and then you can see if you can figure out what kind of leaves they are. Here goes Sydney again. She's kind of addicted now. There she goes. Let's try, how about this piece of grass? Let's get a new piece of paper.
No, it's
There you go.
boring.
No, it's kind of boring, she says. The flower was really pretty until we got into a wet spot on the, I think it got a little wet. Okay, so that is what's called a try it in the book. And you go to the back of the book, which I don't know what I did with my book. You go to the back of the book and it guides you through these activities to do while Wyatt and Danny go through all of their adventures. So it's a book full of activities. So we've got one more thing for you because most kids that I work with love this more than life itself. And it's called a rap song. And I am going to find my book. So let's go back this way, Eliza. So in the book, we do the rubbing. We saw Dr. Flo's Kooky Hoos, but I am going to sing for you a little song called the Scat Wrap, which is Appendix X. And I forgot to bring up the rap beat. What?
Oh, we're just playing it on the YouTube.
Oh, you're right, you're right. Actually, it's a YouTube. Eliza remembered. Okay, so here we go. We're going to do, this is what you can find on my YouTube Connie Nye page. So here comes the Scat Wrap. Hi guys, it's Connie Nye out here to sing about scat. Dance if you want to. It starts with an S, ends with a T, it comes out of you and it comes out of me. I know what you think, don't call it that. Be scientific and call it scat. Walking through the woods, your nose goes ew. You know some critters scats near you. Now don't go run and lose your lunch. If you look at it closely, you can learn a bunch. It starts with an S, ends with a T. It comes out of you and it comes out of me. I know what you're thinking, don't call it that. Be scientific and call it scat. If you want to find out what animals eat, take a good long look at what they excrete. In the scat are all the clues, parts of the food that the bodies can't use, like bones and fur. Bones and fur. Bones and fur. Bones and fur. So scat wrap with me. Here we go. Park your car near the woods or a field, you might find scat on your windshield. If the berries are purple and white, you just got bombed by a bird in flight. I said bird in flight, bird in flight, bird in flight, bird in flight. Starts with an S, ends with a T. It comes out of you and it comes out of me. I know what you're thinking, don't call it that. Be scientific and call it scat. It tells us what they eat and tells us who they are, and that's what we know about scat so far. So if you want to find out what's in the woods or around, take a good long look at the scat on the ground. It starts with an S, ends with a T, it comes out of you and it comes out of me. I know what you're thinking, don't call it that. Be scientific, call it scat. And call it scat. Call it scat. That's a wrap. Thank you, Aurora. So that is the end of my program, except I just wanted to put up on the screen the way that you can make any purchases of the books. So,
And we can also send that out to everyone afterwards, in addition to seeing it here.
okay, so there's the promotional piece that just tells you about the books and how you can buy them. And then other than that, I hope you had fun, because I did, and my kids helped me. Some of these songs are available in this goofy little songbook too, called Pete the Shad Sings Along the Brandywine, but he can sing along the Darby Creek too. And I hope you learned a little bit about water and protecting water, and I hope that you enjoyed the presentation and now will become stewards of the watershed, the Darby watershed, or whatever watershed you live in. So thank you
so much.
I'm happy to entertain them. So I'll let Aurora take over now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Connie. We are so grateful for you to be with us and share your books with us. And I know you've been doing this a long time. And we're grateful that you kind of adapted to this virtual setting. It's new for everybody. I just wanted to say I picked up a copy of this book, and I'm so impressed. I can't wait to get into it. Not only are there all the activities in the back, but you have field trips throughout the Brandywine watershed that connect to the things that are in the book, right?
Yep.
Yep. So they go places that are right over in Chester County. And so it's great. It's just such a comprehensive way to learn about a watershed, including field trip and hands-on activities. And it's in the form of a novel. I think it's just so clever. So thank you for sharing that. Does anyone on the call have a question that they want to ask Connie while we're on? You could either send it to the chat box or just, or you can unmute yourself. Let's see.
You know what most kids want to know? Most kids want to know who Benny is based on. Benny the dog in the Sweetwater Hunt book. And Benny's name is actually taken from a dog that I had named Benny, but his character is more like another dog that we had named Max. So Benny was really an accumulation of several dogs in my life. But I don't have the biggest imagination in the world, so I have to like base things on real people that I know. Wyatt was a kid that I knew. Danny is a little girl that I knew. Tyson is named for somebody that I met on a train one day. So everybody's named after somebody that I actually met in real life.
Aurora, I believe that Sarah Egan's son, or the
yes, that's Elliot. I think Elliot, do you have a question? You have to unmute the screen so we can hear you.
Can your mom do it, or dad?
Yeah, down in the lower left-hand corner, there's a button that says mute.
Yeah, well, I don't think most kids know their left and their right.
There you go.
Oh,
Elliot just wanted to share his picture. So if there are other questions.
He's unmuted now.
Yeah, we're happy to see your picture, Elliot.
Did you want to show your leaf rubbing?
Let's see. Close up.
Awesome.
I can hold it closer.
Yeah.
Is water near your house?
Oh, great.
The first activity he started, and then we did a leaf rubbing together that he wanted to share.
Oh,
nice.
Beautiful.
It looks like you had some good leaves.
Looks like Sarah wants to show something too.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Oh, beautiful.
All right. Let's see. There's something in the chat. Let me just check. Okay, no question, but some praise there. Thank you. Is it safe to swim in a creek? Someone asked.
Oh, the creek is my favorite place to swim. Just don't drink the water straight out of the creek. But the creek is probably one of the best places to go these days. To play in, to canoe in, to kayak in, to swim in, wear your life jacket and do a life jacket race with the people that you're with. You float down the creek on your back with your feet up, and that teaches you how, if you ever fall out of a boat, that's how you have to go down the creek so that if anything hits a rock, it's your feet. But go for an adventure on the creek. I highly recommend going down the Brandywine through Northbrook Canoe Company. Normally I do a lot of programs with them, but I'm not doing them this summer, but they are open. So I suggest as a family, you go canoeing down the Brandywine and just play all day long. Get out of the boat, beach your boat, and hang out in the water as much as possible. It's the best way to stay cool in the summer.
One of the things, though, I would like to add, or if you don't mind if I chime in, this is Sue. I'm the executive director of Darby Creek. In our area, we have a storm water problem, and we have a sewer issue, to put it nicely. And when we have heavy storms, it's best not to swim within 2 to 3 days of a heavy storm, because there is a lot of sediment and sewage that can go into the creek from the stormwater runoff. And if you want to go canoeing down on the Darby Creek, you can go out at the John Hines. They have a beautiful dock there. I'm not sure if they're renting canoes this year, but you can walk along the creek. You can see all the birds and the wildlife that lives there. And they have great tours, and it's a really beautiful place to go.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan.
Cool. Okay. I
don't know the Darby Creek watershed as well as I know the Brandywine watershed.
I don't think I see any more questions. So I'm just going to leave off by saying thank you to everyone for joining us. DCVA is so glad to have you. If this is your first time coming to a program, just to let you know, DCVA has always been committed to having free programming to make it accessible for everybody. That means we rely on people becoming members or donating. So we always appreciate that. And we hope that you'll stick around and check out. We have a whole series of these webinars now every other week. So we're really excited. This is our first one. Connie, I think it was great. So thank you. And hopefully you will all come back for us to join us again.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for being in the afternoon, though, your lunch with us.